What's happening, YouTube? Anthony on Power Rangers Lost the Galaxy fan film with a brand new PRLostGalaxy2014 review on Super7 Ultimates Mighty Morphin Power Rangers with Tommy as the Mighty Morphin White Ranger. Since I've already delved into the Green Ranger already, even though there's two versions of the Green Ranger that was released. You got the standard Green Ranger and you got the glow-in-the-dark Green Ranger. What we have is the White Ranger with everything. Saba, then the silver unpainted Saba, sort of light, and then those kanji balls that, you know, Tommy used in his Tiger Zord cockpit, like in the TV series. And then you got a Saba head with the lasers popping out of his eyes, and then two different Tommy heads, one ponytail hair headed Tommy, and then you got the long haired Tommy but tied up, and the White Ranger figure itself. Well, I do like the way how the White Ranger came out, though there is some notable issues I will have with it when we go over it. So here's the front of the package with everything that White Ranger era Tommy came with, and then here's the back of the package, detailing his detailing the White Ranger's origins, how Tommy lost the Green Ranger powers and then he became the White Ranger, permanent new leader of the Power Rangers, etc., etc. So just like in the series. And so let's get our Tiger Zord power on, White Ranger Tiger power, and it's morphin' time. While getting the White Ranger out of the box was kind of tough, got all his accessories, got the figure. So we're going to take a look at all of those accessories. First, let's take a look at these Tommy heads. So what's different is that the Tommy heads, while it still sports JDF's likeness, I mean, this ponytail one almost had me concerned, because while this does look similar to the one I just had already for the glow-in-the-dark Green Ranger one, this figuratively looks more like Jason David Frank than this one, because I'm like, this looks like a caricature of JDF, but also in some shades he looks a lot like the late Ray Liotta, because, like, goddamn, look at that face. I mean, does this even look like JDF in some shots? Like, you sure they got this right? Like, you sure this looks like Jason as Tommy? Because, like, it's just the way how they did his face, his facial features here on this sculpt for the this hairstyle. It just makes him look a little bit like the late Ray Liotta, because it does kind of look like a lot like him, though, because it just looks weird. Whereas this feels like a more just fair, fine, decent JDF likeness on the head and the face, because this is very simple. This is already like what we already got for the Green Ranger release. So I mean, this is probably like the more definitive one. Now, the kanji balls were getting on my nerves, but here's a few of them, but they just keep rolling around and just rolling around like marbles, and that's why I'm scared that I'll lose them all after this review is over. So here's the kanji balls that the White Ranger would use, like as seen in the series, when he would take those balls and, you know, summon whatever finishing move for the Tiger Zord, because the Tiger Zord has a little marble ball in its mouth on, you know, for the Megazord chest, and so to show what kanji symbol that the White Tiger Zord wants to show off for a certain finisher. But that's why I gotta put them somewhere so I won't lose them later on. So I really do not want to lose these, because they're just small marble balls that came with this. So we're gonna put them away. The Saba sword, you got the colored one, and then you got a silver metallic finished unpainted one. So I mind that accessory, so it make it look like Tommy got two different Saba swords when he should be better off with one, because it feels like a lot like that Super 7 when they did these figures, is like they're trying to call back to the old Bandai figures, where we would have the basic figures of the Power Rangers, but the weapons will be left unpainted, because they're basic figures, but that was like for the kids' toy. But this is for the more serious collectors again. So doing that Super 7, because it made sense during the Bandai days of the franchise for the toys, where we would have like basic paint on the weapons and they will be left unpainted. Same go for like the Blade Blasters for the core Rangers when I get around them. You do also have, speaking of Saba, a Saba head where, like I showed, shooting lasers and stuff like he would. So you got that feature, but I chose to put the Saba head where Saba's not doing any action. Then you have all of these interchangeable hands. Some of the hands were default, so here's some of the following hands, including the default ones, so we'll save those for later too. So those are all the interchangeable hands that the White Ranger came with, as opposed to all the hands the Green Ranger came with. So there you go. One more accessory, the Sword of Light. The Sword of Light is interesting. I wonder why we didn't get this accessory when the White Ranger was released in the Lightning Collection. But Super 7 managed to do it, so we got something to do the power transfer. But then we get into the White Ranger figure itself. I do like the way how the White Ranger figure does, but however, when I got him out of the box, the way how they did his neckline, his neck looks thinner compared to like the Green Ranger. Not saying that I want them to do a more hulkish, you know, a big bad hulking looking Green Ranger or anything like that, but the yeah, but it's just the neck is a little like thin and squeezed. Like the White Ranger lost so much tremendous amount of weight, and that's not good. Personally, that's why after I got him out of the package, I had to make sure I had to put the Tiger Zord shield up so that way to cover that neck a little bit, you know, similar to like the Lightning Collection release. Because when I even got the Mighty Morphin White Ranger in the Lightning Collection, this is how he would look too, and you know, just all like, you know, hey, I got a little small neck and all of that, but yeah, so I just got to make sure that the White Ranger looks proportionately right and authentic. What I also do like about Super 7's Power Ranger figures, like the Lightning Collection, they do not have that muscular physique to them, so to give them that more real-world authenticity to them. But though Super 7's figures is not like Hasbro with their Lightning figures or their basic figures when they were doing Power Rangers, but I just, yeah. So, but I do like the big bright white shade of white, literally, on the White Ranger, and the gold is okay, decent. But though it did have this, but I did, however, knew that we're going to go for that butterscotch gold shade to him, whereas the Green Ranger had the perfect shade of gold, as he should be with that faded shade. But the White Ranger had this darker shade of gold on him, but it looks more like mustard gold. But I'm not going to complain there. But it's, yeah, I guess that's supposed to be the shade of gold that the White Ranger always supposed to have, apparently. I don't know why, even like on the White Ranger helmet. So I just like, fine. Okay, so we need to talk, okay, time to talk about articulation and playability, how he moves. Like the other figure, no neck articulation, but you can just move the head and, you know, move the helmet around, and that's about it. Then let's take Saba out. Put Saba in the holster, because I did have a problem putting the Dragon Dagger in the Green Ranger's holster earlier. So let's put Saba into the sword, you know, holster, safe and sound, so we can do some articulation points. Unfortunately, on the arms, you can't, you know, do all that turning around on these arms, so that kind of sucks. You can turn the hands around, of course. Elbow crunch, as usual, just only do that and do this on the, the elbows, and that's about that. Now the legs, nope, because, you know, again, Super 7 doesn't do like what Hasbro does with their figures. But you can just, you know, of course, open those up, widen those legs out, and I guess you could with the White Ranger raise his legs up and down, up high and low, and back and forth. And then the knee crunches are good too, at least for the most part, but making sure there isn't no chafing or anything. Ankle pivots are usual on a Super 7 Power Ranger and Super 7 anything. So but you can't really turn these legs any other direction, so this is as far as you can go, and there you have it. So I finally have the Mighty Morphin White Ranger. You know, the White Ranger, Tommy's White Ranger suit has always been one of my favorite suits in Power Rangers, because, you know, I love the White Ranger. I love that Sentai that it came from, you know, Die Ranger. And yeah, it sucks that we'll never see the other Die Rangers that Megaforce did adapt as the Squadron Rangers in any capacity of Power Rangers collector items. But yeah, I think the Mighty Morphin White Ranger is good to go and have, must have for the collection, especially if you're a diehard Power Rangers fan and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers fan and a Tommy Oliver fan, White Ranger fan. And yet again, another Power Ranger to honor Jason David Frank, rest in peace, and all of that. So got that figured down. So that's it for my review on the Mighty Morphin White Ranger from Super 7. Be sure to subscribe, drop a like, share this video with your friends if you really enjoyed this video. So next time, we're going to delve into yet another Mighty Morphin Ranger for the Super 7 line of figures to cover up.